For today's review, I'm going to be talking about George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead, his 1968 zombie film, flesh eater film, if you prefer. What can I say about this movie that hasn't already been said a million times before, and much better and more eloquently? Blah blah blah, horror classic, blah blah blah, redefined a genre, blah blah blah, socially relevant. Everybody said it all. One thing that people will bring up about this movie is its distribution, which I think is interesting. The story has always been a little bit vague, and even in certain details, the story seems to change a little bit year per year, depending on who you ask. But basically, at the time of the film's release, George A. Romero made some mistakes, made some poor decisions when it came to copyright, so the film as it currently stands is in public domain, which means anybody can distribute it. You can watch it for free on YouTube, legally, I might add. Anybody can release it. There are any number of different editions of this movie. Some come with the stamp of approval, some do not. So kind of the reason why I want to do this video is almost for bragging rights, because I do believe I have one of the stupidest and silliest editions of this film, and I'll show you the DVD here. It's stupid. It's a double feature with The Terror, one of Jack's earlier films. For some reason, they're showing a photo from The Shining, so Roger Corman's The Terror, not Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. But look at this cover here. It's so stupid. Night of the Living Dead. It looks like, like a silly Halloween mask. None of the zombies in this movie look like that, and like the cheesy dripping blood title. So really, really stupid edition here. Cheesiest shit I've ever seen. So yeah, wow. That's what you get. I doubt I paid much for this. I can't remember. I think I got it in like a secondhand shop. If I paid more than $1, I'll be very surprised. Maybe I found this in the back of a truck or something. Anyway, pretty stupid edition. So I feel I have one of the stupidest packaging of this movie, I think. So there's that. And needless to say, the video quality on the DVD is quite poor. But that's kind of what I like about the movie. The movie, you can praise it for a many number of things, but it maybe not so much for the quality of the film itself. It is very much a B movie. It looks and feels like a B movie. So I'm sure there are better DVD editions out there. I think there's a Blu-ray edition out there. So I'm sure they've cleaned it up as nicely as they can. But I doubt, even with the best transfer possible, I doubt it looks that good, because it was a cheaply made movie, so on cheap film, I guess, and it just looks, like a B movie, like it should, which is part of the appeal. Kind of, the plot of the movie of, Barbara and her brother going out to the cemetery one day. They're bickering back and forth. He's taunting her a little bit. They're coming to get you, Barbara. And then all of a sudden, the zombie comes and attacks them. And so it's actually kind of amazing how quick this movie gets into it. This movie's not fucking around. There's maybe 2 minutes where it's normality, then boom, the nightmare begins. And so, it's with Barbara escaping, going to the farmhouse, then she meets up with Ben, played by Dwayne Jones, and that's kind of where the plot gets started. They find other survivors, like Mr. Cooper and his wife and daughter who's been bitten, and the nice, well-meaning couple, and that's where kind of the plot of the movie starts cooking. And so it's a cheaply made movie, cheap-looking movie, but that is what I think ultimately is so good about this movie, because you're watching this kind of cheesy drive-in movie, but then it takes you off guard with the quality of the story itself, with the quality of Romero's and Russo's writing, where what it really focuses on. There's definitely scary things in this movie. There's definitely, what you expect to see: zombies, living dead, flesh eaters, running around. But what's really intriguing about this movie is the human drama. Because really, I mean, you stick a bunch of people in this circumstance, see what they're going to do to survive, see how they conflict, and I think the movie is absolutely genuine in what it shows. Like, you can believe that what's going on here in this movie could happen in this type of circumstance. So it is a survival film, which I really like, and I like the dynamics between the people. The acting isn't, Oscar worthy or anything like that, but I think they play into the drama well, which is what makes the movie work. The conflict, especially between Mr. Cooper, who's like a fucking asshole, and we have our hero in Ben, who we kind of attach to, because like at first we're kind of following Barbara, but then she becomes essentially useless in the story because she stops responding to anything. She's basically comatose. So we really latch on to Ben. He's the man with the plan. We want him to lead the group, and we want them to succeed, and we want them to survive the night, basically. But Mr. Cooper's fighting every step of the way. So I think the survival element of that is quite genuine. And added to the fact that, the zombies are actually pretty scary. It's pretty spooky. And that's what kind of even makes it spookier, because it looks a little cheaper and older. It kind of makes it a little scarier. Like, there's the one scene, after they're trying to get to the gas pump, and there's a huge explosion. Then the movie just stops short and showing all these zombies feeding, and has the creepy music, like dun 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 dun. Well, I can't really do it, but you know what I mean. So it's really creepy, and you see them munching on human flesh, and it sells it. And because it doesn't look, like, imagine if they had a bigger budget where they'd like show the special effects and they'd show it in absolute clarity. I don't think it would be as frightening, which they were able to do in Dawn of the Dead, but here I think it has a special charm to it. I think it's an excellent film, and when it finally gets right down to it, the ending, which, just in case you haven't seen, I'm not going to give away, but it's actually kind of a devastating ending, where you're just left with this cold chill on your spine. So it's really effective how you think you're just watching any number of, name some cheesy drive-in movie. It takes you off guard, and it brings you into this drama, and you feel like this is actually happening. So this is a great movie to like watch like late at night, all the lights off. It still works today. It really legitimately still works. This is a perfect Halloween movie, I think. So I'm like that's one of the great reasons why this movie has lasted as long as it has, and has such an impact on the genre as it has. Like, sure, I mean, the zombie stuff, it sets up kind of the standard of the zombie type of film and what to expect in the film. This movie set all that up. But it is, I think, ultimately, the human drama that works, which is why I think Romero ended up in his later films playing on his social commentary a little bit more, playing on the drama a little bit more. Here you would almost say he made it socially relevant by accident. The story is, we didn't want to be, on a podium, on a soapbox or anything, by making our lead character black, when in that time, I mean, you just didn't see that. You didn't see a black main character, especially one that wasn't like, hey, I'm black, or have it be an issue, like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner or whatever, anything like that. So I mean, that's interesting too, how they're just like, we'll just do it just to be hip, as Romero puts it. But it does, almost incidentally have that social relevance to it. And, they go into a lot further detail with that in the documentary Birth of the Living Dead, which I recently watched. Like, they really, really go into detail about that. So that's actually a pretty interesting documentary to watch if you haven't seen that already. I'd recommend seeing that too. But yeah, the movie has just lasted so long, and it's seen many incarnations, many cheap DVD releases. One notable release that a lot of people either like to rant about, complain about, or just plain old try to forget, was the 30th anniversary edition that John A. Russo, who co-wrote the film, decided that, hey, I'm going to take this movie, I'm going to edit it, I'm going to add some things into it, going to change up the music a little bit, cut out some things, pace it a little bit differently, and re-release it, basically, is what he did. And if you've seen it, you know it's pretty bad. But you know that's interesting. I think that's interesting how since this movie is in public domain, pretty much anyone could do that. I think. I mean, I'm not a legal expert, but I think technically you could. Anybody here, you know, on YouTube, could make their own edit of the film and re-release it legally. Like I could like edit myself in like black and white and like edit myself into the scene. Like, good idea, Ben. Um, like the Derek edition of Night of Living Dead. Thumbs up if you want to see that. 15 thumbs down. Never mind. Don't. Never mind. But anyway, I think that's interesting. And yeah, I'd like to ultimately see a better release of this movie. I'd want to upgrade to a better version. Maybe get a Blu-ray. Again, I don't think it'll end up looking that good. But it's low quality is part of its charms, and that's part of the package, I think. So it is an absolute classic, as I'm sure you know, and it's a great story. And it put Romero on the map for good reason, and his impact specifically with this creature, this name it, a werewolf, Frankenstein monster, vampire. Zombie is one of them, and in part, we do have Romero to thank for its impact in popular culture. So definitely, he has his contribution to horror, and I think this is a great movie to watch for Halloween because it is an absolute classic. It still really holds up, genuinely, it does. Maybe you might want to find a better edition to watch than this cheesy Halloween Mask edition. But no matter what version you're watching, it's a great movie. And that'll be my review for Night of the Living Dead. So thanks very much for watching. More reviews to come. Stay tuned. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching.